have footwall and hanger wall explained. Then we are talking about shafts. So the shaft here is talking about the access, the vertical access through which we go underground. So we said that if we want to mine and we identify our mineral of interest, we can either mine it by surface or by underground. If I am going surface, I might find a way to go underground. If it is underground mining I want to do. So we are saying that we can extract our mineral of interest through two main techniques. It's either we are going surface or we are going underground. We are going surface or underground. And if we are going surface, if it is surface mines, we don't have anything covering us. So we just create an excavation and we are in it working. But when we want to go underground, we need to find a way. Just like the Kusie will go underground to go and hide. We also have to find a way to go down there and attack our mineral of interest. And so that approach we go through, that path we create to go down there and start our operation to attack our mineral of interest. If it is a vertical approach, just like a well, and it is straight downwards, then we call that as a shaft. If we are going there using the ramp system, like a ramp approach, where we create an access that is inclined at a certain angle, trying to meander its ways underground, we say it is what? A decline. So those are the differences. A shaft is usually vertical, about 90 degrees, standing upright, which we dig from the surface down underground to whatever length we need it to go. And that becomes our main access in and out of the mine most of the times. Then we have a shaft. A shaft is provided with a hoisting engine at the top for handling men, rock, or supply. So when we said people should mention some of the terminologies in underground, somebody mentioned what we call a cage. So it becomes that kind of a car or a bus that helps us to move men back and forth. So I think if it is for carrying materials like the rock we mine, it's called a skip, right? And if it is picking human beings, we call it a cage. Then a drift or a drive, they are also the same thing, but depending on where you work, you give it the name as a drive or a drift. So it is a horizontal opening in or near an ore body and parallel to the course of the vein or along the dimension of the ore body. So we made mention trying to explain what a deposit was, a dip was. So let's say this is a phone. We all know it is a phone. And then we are able to define the dip of the deposit. So we can only measure the dip at the small side of the deposit. And we are able to see that, okay, it is dipping at 60 degrees. This is my foot. That is my hanging wall, my high wall. That's how other people call it. Then if I stand on top, assuming I am hanging on top, I am able to see where it is stretching up to. So if I am developing this mineral to mine it, I can't mine all of them in one day. So I have, after I've created my level, my shaft down. So assuming this is my shaft, I dig a hole down and I begin to create access along this deposit, along it. Then that access I've created along it, it is parallel to the deposit. Then I call that access route as a drive. When I create the access route, I then have to create other routes to connect the deposit more or less perpendicular to the deposit in order to get access to it. So it's just like you are creating some kind of a road network underground. So some of them will be parallel to the deposit, others will be perpendicular to the deposit. So it's just like if you are coming from your left, as you can see, I'm coming from my left to it. I am coming perpendicular to this particular deposit like that. And if you are coming towards me this way, you are coming which is a horizontal or parallel to this deposit. So we are taking everything in reference to the deposit I am holding. So coming this way, the root, access root I create becomes, so let's say I create a root and the root is the black line attached to the phone. That becomes my drive. Then now I try to create another access. So if I create another access to it, and that is this black line I've created from the edge of this cable towards the ore deposit, it is cutting across the deposit. So I call it a cross cut. So those are the definitions we have for some of the routes we create underground in order to have access to our deposit. Then the levels. A level are more or less, if I discover the deposit most of the time underground, because it is too huge and can't be mined at the same time, I can't pick all of them at a go. I try as much as possible to create some things like, you assume it to be the floors of a story building. So levels, are kind of like the floors of a story building. So let's all of us picture a basic school dying. What floors? We have floors. So let's take it, it's a story building that has 3 floors: ground floor, first floor, and then the last floor. So if I have that, the whole of the story building, if I'm standing in front of it like this, wide like that, on top, to see how big or long it is, that is the strike. If I stand at the small section of the classroom block and I see that short section and see whether the classroom block is standing upright or inclined, then that is the dip of it. So if I create the veranda across all the classroom blocks, both the front and the back, and people can walk along that stretch and count how many classrooms I have there, then that particular veranda I have created is my drive. When I then stand on the veranda and I create access to enter each of the classrooms, then that kind of roads I've created in order to get each class is the cross cut. When I get into the class and I begin to mine, and I drill and blast, and I get the classroom, which is the empty space that I am mining, it becomes the stope. We all know that a book, if I have this, so let's say the book is standing this way. If I hold a book like this, and you are looking at this book, from where I am holding it, you are not able to tell me how wide or how long. You only see this section of the book. If you are seeing only this section, the small section of the book, that section, and you are able to tell how it is dipping, whether it is to the left like that or it is to the right like that, that section like this is a dip, the angle I'll be able to form. Then if I pick you up and let you stand on top, and you can now see clearly how long the book is. That is why I was using a story building as an example. So just take the whole story building as a gold deposit underground, and you are able to stand at one end of it, because you will create a shaft. After you are able to see the dip, you'll be able to create a shaft. And you'll be able to tell us that, okay, with the shaft, which is the main access, you are able to go down and you are able to tell how long the deposit is going into the air. And you know how wide or horizontally how long it is stretching. And that is the strike of the deposit. Now you want to go and tackle this deposit. It is too huge for you to pick all at a go. So you need to divide it into badges. And each of the badge you create which can help people to be working at the top, others to be working on at the middle floor, and then some on the ground floor. If you are doing that to the deposit, you see you are creating levels. You are creating levels for the deposit. And then when you create the levels, you now have deposits here, deposits, and some on the floor. And you can't still mine all of them at the spot. You now have to create road to connect these deposits. So the road you connect, which will be line, just like you create a long veranda, the deposit is what we call the drive. Create other access along the veranda to tackle the deposit. We call that the cross cut. Is it clear?
Yes, it is.
Good.
So let me ask a question. So can you calculate, let's say, the total ore by identifying the area of the like the dip, and then the
I think we got plenty.
how like what the like what was the terms of the total length?
Yeah, and that is what these geologists do. You know, we made mention of a certain technology called exploration. That is the work of the geologists. And that is the essence, that is actually what they do. And that's why we have surveyors. So during the beginning of a mine, before we'll be able to tell how much material is there, how much of it is waste, how much of it is the actual gold we are looking for, that is where the exploration process comes in. And we have the surveyors and the geologists that go in to do that job for us. They will help us to quantify the volume of material down there. And geologists will help us out of that volume, how much of it is our gold, the grade of the gold in that volume of material. So these three people, a geomatician, a geologist, and a engineer, they are always out there. Someone can work as a mining engineer for many years, but he will never see gold because you are just there at the surface trying to help us quantify the gold in this place, and high grade here, and all those kind of things. So if you are talking about quantifying, it is possible.